Hello YouTube, this is Isaiah again from overclockersclub.com, and today we're going to talk about something interesting. I've come across this before where you're buying something online and it's used and you're not quite sure what you're buying. Maybe the picture doesn't quite describe accurately, or you didn't read the description, or somebody did a switch bait on you. So in this video I'm doing something a little special. I'm actually going to attempt to see what I can do about this box. Now, this product here, which I should just show you instead of talking about it, came from a coworker. It's his cousin. I think his cousin's name's Joel or something. But anyways, let's take this out of here. This is what happens when you buy something on eBay. My coworker came to me, this is my day job, came to me and said, "Hey, Joel bought this, and it's a little bit over his head. He's not quite sure how to tackle this, and he wants to know if I could look at it." And immediately when I saw this, I opened that box, kind of like the video here, and I said, "Oop, I don't know about this." It's something to question, so we're going to look at how to actually fix this. So if you bought something like this, so this is a 1080 Ti, so it's still like a $500 card used, and we're gonna see if we can find a replacement cooler. Do we need to go water block, or if we're gonna go air cooler, what we can do about that. But I did look online and I saw a few solutions, and but before we do that, we're actually going to put it on the computer just as is to make sure it boots, because you don't want to waste money on something else. And if it does boot, then I actually have a Titan XP card. So I have this Titan XP card. Nothing's wrong with it. I mean, there's the HDMI port doesn't work on it anymore, but everything else is still fine. But the cooler, since this is a reference card, we have a card that has another card that has a cooler that uses the reference design. So I'm gonna take this cooler and put it on here after I make sure that this actually functions. So yeah, so let's go ahead and see if this works, and then if it does, we're going to kind of dig down into what we're looking at. So my best advice to anybody that gets something like this, if you got this and you can't return it, then look into it. If you got something like this, just return it as quick as you can, because it's not worth the setup. But if you're stuck with this, the first thing you want to do is, make sure that what you got is functioning the way it is, if possible, before you spend money. Because you don't want to buy a $100 water cooler or a fan setup, or a old video card that's broken and replace it. You don't want to do any of that if you're going to waste money on something that doesn't work already. Okay, so update. I was going to swap it out just to test it out, but the zip ties broke. So, well, it came apart, I guess. Not really broke. So I'm not going to put this pump in. Oh, it's not even. It's like still wet thermal paste. I don't know what kind of thermal paste this is. If it's like conductive or what. And then this cooler still has the original tape on it, like a little plastic cover on it. So is this a new is this a new, I don't know. All I know is that this came with it. Oh, it's like screws falling out. And then I'm guessing this one screw that just fell out goes here? Nope. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get this set up better, and then we're going to take this apart and we're going to swap coolers, because clearly I can't test it to see if it even runs. I mean, I guess I could hold like this over it and see if I, just for contact, see if I get a video. I might do that. I mean, the card's already kind of busted anyways. I don't really care if I am holding contact to it. Like, I'll just hold the cooler to it and see if it boots, because I don't truly care. I don't want the GPU to get hot. That's the problem. So booting it up shouldn't get really hot, but we can't just leave it out without anything. It'll damage it. So we have to have some sort of cooling going on. Okay. I mean, I applaud the person that tried to do this. This is garbage. These pads are garbage anyways. So anybody wondering if you're ever going to do this with zip ties, remember zip ties become brittle over time, and if you put heat to them, the older they are, the more brittle they become, and then when you apply heat to them, they get pretty much more brittle. So I'm hoping that only the last little bit was missing in the audio. If not, then it's all missing in audio, and I'll just dub over it or something. That being said, the card did not boot. It gave me an error message, QR code for the video, so this video display gave an error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up and hope that by cleaning it up, maybe that will make it boot. I just want to see if there's a video before I waste time doing anything else, but it might just be junk. So usually what I like to do, and I know people kind of give me crap for this, but I just use toilet paper. I use rubbing alcohol. I make sure it's 90% or higher, because if you go too low, like 70%, it starts to leave residue behind. I know it's just water and alcohol, but it always has like a weird residue left over. There's a lot of thermal paste on here. Somebody did not know what they're doing. Well, evident of cutting a cooler in half. Oh my god. Okay. You're like, Isaiah, you're doing it wrong. Well, there's no easy way to do this when it's caked on so horribly. And I wouldn't be surprised if that cooler was actually damaged to dye the silicone because of how it was facing. Now, if you're not impatient like me, you can like put rubbing alcohol on here and just let it soak in for a second. It's not going to damage it. When I say not going to damage it, it's definitely not going to damage something that's broken already. I don't think rubbing alcohol actually can damage anything. I don't even want this paste here in the first place. If I had told you how caked on this is like rock hard. So who knows if it's... And there's these little chippies there. They're everywhere, and if you really scrape at them, they'll come off. I'm not trying to get them to come off, but they're also making sure that we're not shorting anything. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like X4 thermal paste, which is thermally conductive. Wouldn't be surprised. I get most of it off. There's just this stuff is really hardly caked on. I mean, if you ever watch DeBauer on his YouTube, the way he gets, when he's done with, LNT overclocking, what he does is he puts it in the dishwasher to get rid of the Vaseline. So obviously you can do extreme measures of washing it, dishwasher, whatever, get all the crap off of there. I'm not willing to do that yet because I don't know if these were being shorted or not. But it definitely was too much thermal paste. It was heavy, thick, and hard, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was just overheating before it even booted. So that being said, we're going to throw this back into the system after I dry it off. It's just rubbing alcohol, so a minute or two later it'll be completely dry. So let's go ahead and jump ahead. So to raise my chances, I'm actually just gonna take that back plate off too. I don't know, I'm hoping there's nothing shorting the board in the back, but once again, because of the condition this was in. I wouldn't be surprised if there is issues with the card. And now it's been taken off before. Can you see the little seal has been broken on this? It should just peel apart at this point. I thought I got rid of that screw. Surprisingly, there is nothing noticeably wrong in the back, and actually, this piece over here has never been removed as far as I can tell, just because there's dust below here. So I mean, it might have got removed once, but for the most part, this is the back's been untouched for the most part, which is good news for us. I just have to figure out how to get the front off, because there's no screws here at all holding it down. So I don't know why this is still on here unless it peels off. But before I do that, I still want to see if I can get it to boot. So once again, I tried to just boot it just to see if I get anything off of it. It gets warm. I could feel it, but it still gives me the same error message. I'm not 100% convinced that it's a dead card because, you know, there's a lot of safeties in these cards to stop it from booting if it doesn't have the right temperature. So I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason it's just not booting at all because of a temperature sensor issue. And if I put a different cooler on it, an actual real cooler, then it might boot up. It's getting power. I know it's getting warm, but that's as far as it goes. Since I have no display and it stops on the boot sequence on the video card, that tells me that it's something to do with the boot ROM. Maybe it's been modified and the card's fine, but the boot sequence is messed up. There's no way for me to really know except for swapping out cards or swapping out coolers and seeing what I can do about it. I decided not to use the Titan card because it's a working card and a nice cooler, and I really don't want to disassemble it. I'm honestly just lazy in the sense that this one always shows problems. This works. I don't really want to disassemble this. There's a lot of screws, it's annoying, it's a lot of work. I do have a water block for the 1080 Ti that was with my old 1080 Ti before I got rid of it. Now I don't have a lot of thermal pads, but we just want to make sure that it boots. So what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to plop it on here with some new thermal paste and screw it in with this bag of screws here. And we're just going to make sure if it boots. We're not going to worry about anything else. If it boots, then great. Then we can know we can buy a cooler for it. Or I can actually put the real thing on here. Once again, this is not my video card, so if it was my video card, I would have slapped this old water block. You see how rusted it is? It's corroded because, well, when I'm disappointed in EK because I bought this block, nickel block, and within like a month it corroded. And it's been corroding ever since. And all I ever used is distilled water in it, but the entire time it was corroding. My whole loop is copper and brass, so I'm not really sure why it was corroding. And interesting enough, my previous card that I replaced before I got the 1080 Ti, my previous card, that water block went 2 years from EK, nickel plated, no problem. This EK nickel block lasted a month before it started corroding. I just finished assembling this. Now, you might notice that I really didn't put any more screws in the fork. I just wanted to hold down just the GPU. I really want to put pressure on it because the way it was mounted before, I mean, I had to take everything off. But once, you know, the way it was mounted before with a CPU cooler, it was uneven pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if it was causing some board issues. So I'm going to, now this is not perfect, as you see these don't, it's supposed to fit the reference card. I didn't put all the screws in properly, but it does fit. And this is enough copper to boot into Windows and probably stay idle for a long time before it heats up. And our goal is not to run any benchmarks. Our goal is just to see if it boots to Windows. And if it does, you know, I might be able to plug some water into it. I might be able to swing that. So let's stay tuned and see if it actually if it powers up. If it powers up, we're good to go. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Oh, okay, it's booting. Let's go look at the screen and see if we get anything on the screen here. Any video? Oh, we got video. We got video. So, as you can tell, it's a water block without water in it. So there's only so many minutes before it gets too hot. So I'm gonna stop the video and I'm gonna see what we can do with the need to. I don't know. I kind of want to do more testing on it just because it boosts doesn't mean it's stable, and I don't want to waste $100 on another block, or not another block, on an air cooler if it's just not going to be stable. So let me pull out my water cooling gear and test it out. Okay, so I turned it off because I didn't want it to melt while I'm looking for water cooling stuff, and I found this old guy that I painted once as an experiment. And I mean, I have two fans there too. I only need one really. And then I do have this Alpha Cool that's kind of cracked. I don't think it's gonna leak, but it's definitely not great. I don't have enough tubing, honestly. I'm missing. Nope, it pumps back into here. I'm missing the tube here, so I gotta fill it pretty high or it's just gonna get bubbles. But my new issue is that I don't have a way to power it, especially since the power supply I have is all tucked away. And I have these cables, so I do have a power supply here. And I'm just going to do the double thing. So if you have two power supplies, this goes back to my video, the paperclip. I could use a paperclip to jump this, and I have many times, and used it for months on end just with a paperclip. But for this purpose, I'm just going to plug it in here. Here's the first problem. I didn't wire this up, so that's the whole point of this. Black. Now, so far no leaks. I don't suggest running a system on for the first time, but like I said, I've used this block before. I used all these parts, so I know that leakage is very unlikely. Wow, I'm really surprised. Okay, so let's go ahead and into Windows and let's see what the settings I'm getting. Okay, so we have finally gotten to a point where the water block is functional. I did the test as you saw. Wow, that's pretty loud. Let's unplug some fans here. Okay, so now we turn off the fans and everything. It makes it a little bit easier to hear me. Now that we benchmarked the video card, we made sure that it works at stock speeds, because that is the number one goal, is to make sure that what I'm fixing actually can perform at stock speeds. And for a little bit bonus, it did overclock just slightly. I didn't think it was great overclock. Memory, of course, usually overclocks like 500 megahertz, no problem, but the CPU core, I've seen higher on 1080 Ti cards. This was not that great. I assume it's because it's already been abused with a weird cooler head on before, the makeshift hybrid cooling. So I didn't have high hopes of this project. I was given this video card to try to fix from my coworker, and this is actually not his cousin, it's his brother-in-law, something like that. I didn't really understand it until I asked him again. And it seems like he got ripped off on Discord or eBay. I believe it's Discord. He bought off somebody, some past buddy. I hope he's not friends with him anymore. The Sullivan's video card that really looked janky, and he probably should have passed on it. Even if you paid $350 for it, You still need $100 more to get it back to functioning. That's $450. You can buy these cards used for $450, and you're not risking any problems by using the card you buy on eBay already assembled is going to perform better than this. I was just lucky to have an old water block laying around because I really wasn't going to put my other cooler on it. Now, if I did put my cooler on it for the Titan XP, it would have fit and it would have worked. But I might have ran into the same problems where I put the cooler on and it didn't boot. And I would have been like, okay, the car doesn't work anymore. So sometimes it's better to have alternate options, especially when you're trying to bring something back to life that really is not functioning very well. I think the thermal paste was the issue. I cleaned up some thermal paste that was elsewhere in the car that really should have been under some VRMs. I feel like it was shorting something. I'm not an electrical engineer. I don't know if that really was causing the short, but the card did not respond at all the way it was. Cleaning it all up, putting a water block on it, fixed the issue. So my thoughts are that whatever was on there before was causing all the problems. So I want to do a part 2 of this, but since it's not my video card, I don't know if I'll be doing one, so I'm just going to upload this video the way it is. Leave a comment below if you want to see more stuff like this. If it was my video card, I would have bought the cooler already and done a part 2 or included it into this video, but since it's not, this is what we get. We get a half-assembled, water-cooled loop-a-loop here, and this is really just to make sure the video card works, because when my coworker buys the air cooler for it, I want to make sure that he's not wasting $100, because the last thing you want to do is spend $100 on a video card that doesn't work at all anyways. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out more written articles at overclockersclub.com, and Chris is also making lots of videos on YouTube, so make sure you keep an eye out for his case reviews, CPU coolers, and then I sometimes make videos also, so keep an eye on my reviews too.